All right, so we're here right now with my friend Adam Newman. Adam is an American. He owns a bed and breakfast here in Rio called the Rio Palazzo, and he is here today to talk with us a bit about how to get more out of your experience here in Rio de Janeiro. We're going to talk about some of the stereotypes of Rio de Janeiro and how you can have a more culturally rich experience when you come visit Rio de Janeiro. So thanks for being here, Adam.
Hi, Josh. I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure.
Cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to Rio?
So, yeah, my name's Adam. I'm 25 years old, and I moved to Rio about 2.5 years ago with the hope and dream of starting a business and living the lifestyle that I'd always hoped for in a beautiful location. So I bought a one-way ticket to Rio de Janeiro, and I've been here ever since. Proud owner of a 5-bedroom bed and breakfast right now, and in the midst of developing a couple other business opportunities as well that really focus on helping people have really quality, diverse cultural experiences in Rio, and to help them see and realize the beauty about the city that I've come to love. So
cool. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the city and what do you love about Rio de Janeiro?
Rio's a really interesting city because it combines so many different elements that people look for in a quality location. You have beautiful geographic development, beautiful beaches and mountains and forests. So geographically speaking, it's really beautiful, really interesting, really exciting. You have really awesome people who are genuinely friendly, willing to help you out, easy to talk to, very casual and laid back. Not really very superficial for the most part. So in addition to that, you also have really high energy and just lots of music and dance and fun. So it's just a really fun place to be in. People seem to really just love life living here.
Cool. So a lot of people, they don't really know what life is like in Rio de Janeiro. Maybe they've seen pictures of Carnival, they've seen pictures of people on the beaches, but that's only really a small part of what life is actually like here in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
So what are some of the less obvious things that you've discovered about Rio de Janeiro, about the culture here, that you think are worth sharing to people about Rio?
Well, I think it depends on what you're talking about specifically. I mean, the culture in Rio is much more than just the beaches and the good-looking women and the sex appeal and the uplifting samba energy. It's much more than that, right? So there's a lot of hidden culture that you really have to kind of dig in to find, that really lays the infrastructure for what the city really is. So that being the origin of samba and understanding how it came to develop and why it is the way it is, and being there where it started in some of the samba schools located in the favelas, really experiencing firsthand how the city came to be how it is today. There's so many different cultural experiences like that, mostly attached to music and dance and food that are really, really exciting and different.
Okay, so if I'm a guest at your bed and breakfast, what are some of the things that you're going to tell me when I first get here?
Well, I like to start off by trying to address what maybe somebody's fears or worries are about the city.
Okay, so what are the common objections that people have about Rio, common fears?
The biggest fear is directly attached to the worry about it being a dangerous city, right? So crime, robberies, they're just generally worried about their security, which is normal, and they should be. But I think the preoccupation sometimes comes on a level so deep that it prohibits people from having the quality experience that they deserve to have.
Sure. Well, to be fair, Rio isn't the safest place in the world. It does have its violence. So how can people come here and feel safe? Like, how do they avoid dangerous areas? How do they avoid dangerous situations?
Well, I think you have to start off by evaluating also what your level of comfort is and what your level of risk is, because in general, the people who have problems in Rio, who get into situations that can result in them getting hurt or robbed or in trouble, generally come from either someone who's trying to purchase drugs or someone who is demonstrating that they're so worried and feeling so out of place of where they are that they pull attention to themselves. So I think it's really important to do some background research about how can you integrate yourself on smaller levels culturally and linguistically to try to fit in. it's impossible, right, to hide your gringo-ness. I mean, even us living here multiple years, there's time, people know we're not from here. But there's things that you can do, from ways that you can dress to just knowing very basic Portuguese words that allow you to interact with people, and by having a manner that's relaxed and showing that you don't feel worried, even if you are, will allow you to experience the place without having any issues.
Okay. Well, what about somebody who's like blonde hair, blue eyes, they dress like a gringo, they don't speak any Portuguese, they don't really have the time or the inclination to do all that? How can this person have a safe and enjoyable experience in Rio?
I mean, it's important to do research, right? But you have to do effective research. So it's not just reading Wikipedia and photos and getting the top 10 tips to Rio. Those are all great, and generally they are semi-helpful. But you need to seek out resources that provide you with real cultural tips and information about specific neighborhoods, about what are the places that you can go to and feel comfortable in. In general, there's many areas in the city, including the North Zone, the Zona Norte, and areas in Centro that can be perceived as being dangerous. But if you know where to go, if you're attending events in places where thousands of other people are also going, then you're most likely going to locations that don't present a large risk.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So let's start with somebody who is like completely petrified of being robbed, and they want to like minimize every chance that they are going to get robbed, and they're willing to sacrifice a little bit on their experience just to have like a completely guaranteed safe time. What are the neighborhoods they should stick to?
I think primarily, if you really want to get a real Brazilian experience and truly, see a little bit more of the real Rio culture. So, Copacabana and Ipanema are interesting neighborhoods. Of course, it's a great place to go. Definitely should spend time there. But if you want to get a little bit deeper into the cultural experience and feel the rhythm of the city, I think a great place to start is Lapa.
Okay.
You really can feel the bohemian spirit. Maybe you can make a couple Brazilian friends that also speak English, who can maybe then help you, see some of the other areas of the city and allow you to feel comfortable.
So everybody that I know that's been robbed in Rio de Janeiro got robbed in Lapa.
Right. So again, there's precautions that you can take to make sure that you're not presented with a risk to get robbed. That involves not having your phone next to your ear and standing in a large group of people outside on the street. Right. Know when an appropriate time is to use your phone, and be aware of your surroundings. I think that's the most important thing. Is I walk around the city every day using my iPhone, with my watch on, with things that I would use as if I was in the U.S. And generally, I'm not worried about losing those objects. But again, I'm aware. So it's looking at your surroundings, looking at the type of people that are near you, and making wise decisions about how you're using things and what you're doing. If you're going to go out to Lapa all night, you don't need your phone. So leave it at home.
Sure. So when we're talking about Lapa, we're talking about the neighborhood, but every Friday night in Lapa, there's this big street party.
Right.
And just to clarify for people who aren't familiar with Lapa, what are some other experiences that you consider safe for people to have in Rio de Janeiro?
So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you have a location in the port area of the city called Pedra de Sal. And Mondays are the most popular day, actually. But Pedra de Sal is a very traditional location where the slaves were initially brought into Rio and had to spend time there separating the salt blocks of the city before they were shipped out to the rest of the country. Now it's one of the major hubs for samba and pagodes, being a collection of samba players, and thousands of people now collect there to listen to the samba music. You have amazing, tasty street food, and it's a really good experience. It usually starts about 9 or 10 o'clock and goes to like midnight.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday being samba, Friday being samba, and Wednesday being rock and roll.
Okay. So we got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, what about Tuesday and Thursday? What are some things you can do?
Tuesday and Thursday, it also really depends on the time of the year that you're in Rio. So Thursday you have a lot more events in more of the Zona Sul areas of the city rather than the North Zone. But it really always depends. You have Praça 15, which is
Plaza 15?
Plaza XV, to be more helpful, which always has some kind of collection of musicians, reggae, samba, A lot of the times on Thursdays, Fridays, and other nights as well. But there's different websites that you can look at, like TotoRio.com. Toto Rio. I'm sure you can send the link out later.
Yeah, with the show notes.
Has tons of information about different events and venues around the city, things that are going on.
Okay, cool. What are some other things that might be able to do during the day?
During the day, it depends on what you like to do. I really enjoy hiking. So one of the major benefits of Rio is you have a lot of beautiful areas nearby, and a lot of the forest provides enough shade so that you can actually deal with the heat that may be too intense, to go to the beach. So you can hike up the Sugarloaf Mountain. One of my favorite little insider tips is leave around 4:30, 5 o'clock. You can hike up to the Morro da Urca from the corner of Praia Vermelha, and
that's Red Beach.
And you can go up and watch the sunset. And then after 7 o'clock, it's free to come down on the cable car. So that's kind of a local way of having the Sugarloaf experience without spending 60 AIs to get up to the top. So there's that. There's the Tijuca Forest, which is beautiful waterfalls and mountain peaks. Amazing place to spend a day. You have caverns and rivers there as well. So it really just depends on what you like. There's plenty of museums and places to see films, etc. as well. So
what are some things that you might recommend for people that they're not really going to find in a guidebook, or some restaurants or some areas of the city that are really unique but that aren't really well known by tourists?
Yeah, so the Porto Zone, which is very well known among Cariocas, people from Rio, is really booming and really developing right now. And in addition to going through kind of a gentrification, it's kind of regaining its samba roots. So you have the Cidade de Samba, the city of Samba, which is located in Porto region, which is where all the different samba schools hold a lot of their major practices and events. So depending on the time of the year, I think beginning in September, July is when the schools start practicing there. It's a really cool place where you can walk around and see the different samba schools practicing. You have things like the Complexo do Alemão, which is a gathering of various favelas together. I believe it's somewhere around 2 million people. Don't quote me on that, but it's an extremely large collection of a complex of various favelas. And there's a network with 5 stops of a gondola that goes over the top of them. And to get there can be a little difficult. So people sometimes, a lot of majority of tourists don't make it there. Sure. If you wanted to go there, you have to go to Central, and you take the train station to Bom Sucesso. From Bom Sucesso, you can take the gondola, and it's amazing, beautiful view. At the end, there's a little place you can have a beer, a nice little lunch if you want, and then come back. So,
all right, so now we're starting to talk about favelas. I'm sure that a lot of people, they've seen like Cidade de Deus, they've seen Tropa de Elite, and they are really scared of the idea of going to favela. I think it's a really dangerous place.
Right.
What would you say about that?
Well, first off, I want to take on the point of information that people consume about Rio in general, and say that you have to realize that the media chooses to highlight whatever is going to get them viewers, and generally that's information that's negative. So they focus a lot on the murders and the crime and the drugs and everything that's happening, which isn't to say that that's not important to bring attention to, but there's a lot of other positive experiences and positive changes that are happening in a lot of these areas, specifically the favelas as well, that to me are worth more of your time to focus on. And so I think it's important that before you come to Rio, you read information, but you don't let it detract you from having experiences that might be a little bit outside of your general comfort zone.
So if someone wanted to go outside of their comfort zone, what are some experiences they would be able to have?
Yeah, so a favela tour is a great experience, and there's various types of favela experiences as well. So you have tour guides who aren't doing, who aren't doing ethical tourism, that are taking people in big vans and driving them through the tourist
like jeep safari.
Yeah, kind of. It's like a favela safari zoo experience, and I totally disagree with that. But there are local people like Zizinho in Rocinha with the favela experience, and a couple other individuals who are offering really local experiences, walking tours through the favela that are encouraged by the residents, because they want people to understand that these aren't just slums taken over by crime and drugs. That these are communities of culture and people who want to improve their lives and want to learn and grow and educate themselves. And another one being Santa Marta is a really interesting favela in Botafogo, very easy to get to from Zona Sul. And the government is actually has created a tourism program there. So you can come to the bottom of the favela and talk to tour guides that have been trained. A lot of them speak English by the government, and for a very small fee, they'll take you on a tour throughout the favela. It's a really great experience. You'll see things like the Michael Jackson golden statue, really quality restaurants, painted favela houses and graffiti that are really beautiful. So those are the kind of things that you see in the favelas, right? Is you see a very simple people with a very sad history who, for the first time, are kind of having the opportunity to be introduced to the world, and they really want to show people that they're a tight community of people, and I think it's really important that people have that experience. But it's also important that you do your research on the type of organizations that you're going to work with, and what favelas you're going into, because there are areas that aren't pacified yet that do present more of a risk, especially to someone who's not familiar with Brazil.
All right, so Adam, you've mentioned do your research a couple times. When we talked about that, you're talking about neighborhoods. What are some other things that people should research before they get here?
So I think it's just important to really know yourself and understand the kind of experience you're looking for, right? So if you want to hang out on the beaches and drink caipirinhas, that's fine. But you need to know that beforehand and realize that you need to be in Copacabana or Ipanema.
Right, and if someone wants to have like a party experience, what are some neighborhoods for that?
You definitely want to be in Lapa. I mean, it doesn't mean you need to stay in Lapa, right? You can stay near Lapa, but at least understand where Lapa is located in proximity to you, so you're not wasting lots of time trying to get there all the time, because maybe that's where you want to be hanging out every night. You don't want to be spending an hour and a half getting there from São Conrado or from Baja,
And if someone wants to be surrounded by nature and going on a lot of hikes and stuff like that, where should they stay?
You could stay in Santa Teresa. You have access to the forest there. Alta da Boa Vista is a really cool neighborhood, kind of located in the forest. And also certain areas of Baja also have access to the forest and lots of kayaking, windsurfing, things like that as well.
Now, what about your budget traveler? Where should they stay?
I think the budget traveler should be somewhere in the Zona Centro. So that being Laranjeiras, Cateche, Santa Teresa has a lot of budget options as well. Lapa is okay as well. Those areas are much more Brazilian, so you're going to find a lot less tourists there. You're going to find restaurants at cheaper prices. You're going to find everything is going to be substantially cheaper than in the Zona Sul.
Okay. So I know you can speak for hours and hours and hours about all the really cool stuff that there is in Rio de Janeiro for people to do, but I want to close this up right now with the number one most important thing you think people should do here in Rio de Janeiro.
So I think, it's hard to say what's the most important, but for me the most important is enabling yourself with tools, equipping yourself with tools that allow you to integrate and have a more fluid experience. So focus on top 10, 20 Portuguese words that you think you'll be able to pronunciate. And write them down in a book, somewhere you have them accessible. Put them in your phone. Things that will allow you to spend more time experiencing the city and less time being lost and trying to figure out how to get around. How to get directions, how to ask the bus driver to tell you when to get off. Different things like that can be really helpful. In addition, it's just, like I said, it's about knowing yourself and knowing the experience you're looking for. And finding out about the activities and events going on during the time you're there, so that you can spend more time enjoying, experiencing, and loving the city, and less time in your house or in your hotel or in your apartment researching and reading online and not experiencing what the city has to offer.
Well, great. And if you want to take Adam's suggestion to heart and learn Portuguese before you come, check out BrazilianGringo.com/courses. We've got some Portuguese courses there that will help you learn Portuguese before you come to Brazil, so you can get the most out of your experience here in Brazil, and you'll learn in culturally relevant ways, and you'll be able to speak Portuguese like a Brazilian when you already come. And if someone wants to hear Adam speak for hours and hours and hours about the cool things you can do in Rio, you can stay with him at his bed and breakfast here. How can they find you, Adam?
You can check out the bed and breakfast at riopalazzo with 2z's.com. You can check out some of our rooms we have to offer there. Love to have you here in Rio and spend more time helping you have the experience you're looking for. Also have www.haute.hospitality.com. Hot spelled Haute, hospitality.com. You'll also find lots of other accommodation and services that I offer, or you can just shoot me an email at info@riopalazzo.com, and I'd be glad to give you some free tips and help you have a great time here.
Great. Thanks for being here, Adam. Valeu, cara.
Valeu.
See you guys in Brazil.